So the sermon today is called, Hey, let's take this offline. Have you ever heard that in a meeting or something like that? Let's take this offline. And I was going to suggest that we take our phones, turn them off. And then Matt says, Hey, Carolyn, why would you want to do that? And I'm like, well, Matt, the Pope has asked in St. Peter's Basilica that people put their phones away, that he doesn't like being a YouTube star. And he said, but yeah, the Pope may think that way, but God doesn't necessarily. I said, what do you mean? Then he showed me this video. In computer technology, online, right, needs a state of connectivity, that you're connected to something. The term offline is sometimes interchanged with IRL. Do you know what IRL means? I didn't realize this. In real life. It's kind of interesting, isn't it? You're offline and you're in real life. This weekend we celebrate Labor Day, a time to disconnect from those tasks and duties related to the work we have to do and to find a little rest and relaxation with your family and friends. Labor Day is the perfect time to move offline and into real life. But really, honestly, what does that look like in this 21st century? When I was growing up, we lived next to a family, and I have asked them permission to share this story today, that we believe were probably Dutch, Pennsylvania Dutch. The last name was Whitfleet. They didn't actually attend church, but every Sunday, the Whitfleets did nothing. And I'm not kidding. They did nothing. The Whitfleets were great people. They had this beautiful built-in swimming pool, and guess what? We couldn't swim in it on Sundays. They had the best mini bikes, couldn't ride them on Sundays. When I was communicating with the girls this past weekend, I was like, do I remember this correctly? Did you really do nothing on Sunday? And they said, absolutely. We could not work at all. Their dad had a home office. They were not allowed to go anywhere near the home office or answer the phone. It was a day for renewal, for family connection, and relaxation. What was interesting is they also said they had to, even though they didn't go to church, the girls had to wear dresses, and their brother had to get dressed up as well. There was no shopping. You couldn't even look at the Sears catalog, they said. And then they noted this, that their mom and dad would pack up a cooler the night before on Saturday night so that no one would have to cook on Sunday. Like I mentioned, the family owned a business. They didn't answer the phone. They didn't have anything to do with the business. Not only that, did they not work on Sundays, but they didn't spend money either. They didn't get into their cars. They didn't drive. And you were not to be the source of someone else working either. So that's why they stayed at home. Now, why did this family choose to do this? Well, because God worked for 6 days, and on the seventh day, God took a break. And for the Whitfleets, God mandated that you took a day off. Now, with that said, when you take the day off, it doesn't mean that the other 6 days that you don't work pretty hard. I mean, really, in the Bible, we were created, what? To tend to the Garden of Eden. We were created to tend to the garden, but we were also created to rest, to make a day holy, and to give God that day back, which is exactly what that family did. Work is a part of who we are, right? I mean, throughout the Bible, Jesus is telling stories about people working in vineyards, about shepherds working, about people that have good work to do and then care for the poor. Yet, he also makes it clear that not only are we to work, but he took time to rest, right? Jesus' job was healing people, but he stepped away from that to rest. Working is part of who we are and an important part of who we are, but the only way that works fully is when we take time to rest as well. It's interesting that the Bible does relate to work a lot, and oftentimes passages related to work, also relate to those of us who are ending up with some kind of financial gain from our work. And when we gain financial wealth, we have another responsibility according to the Bible. In 1 Timothy, it says this. It says, tell those rich in this world's wealth to quit being so full of themselves and so obsessed with money, and I would say, and work, which is here today and gone tomorrow. Tell them to go after God, who piles on all the riches we could ever manage to do good, to be rich in helping others, to be extravagantly generous. If we do that, they'll build a treasury that will last, gaining life. That is truly life. Today, I want us to consider what it means to go offline and to live a real life, mindful that we must find a rhythm in life in order to live that true life that Timothy is talking about here. You know, in the 1960s, there was testimony in the Senate, in a Senate subcommittee, about time management, and they predicted that with the advancements in technology, it would radically change the way that we work in the world. They forecasted that the average American work week with technology would move to about 22 hours a week within 20 years. This was in the 60s. The great challenge, the experts said at the time, and I quote, would be figuring out what to do with all that excess time. Now, 50 years later, after major advances in technology, how many of us in this room are trying to figure out what to do with our excess? It seems the experts were wrong, weren't they? It seems what's happened is really that technology that was supposed to make our life easier has created a work energy that is pretty constant. Hi. Most people who work in the world today don't stop after 8 hours, do they? You take the work home with you. You take your phone home with you. You can get a text at any time of day or at night. You can be called to work at any time. We don't have that cycle that we had at one time. Now, studies show that this kind of work has created something in our world where we are energized or we're filled with dopamine, where you used to find energy in being still, you now take care of those dopamine things by working. We are becoming addicted to work. Isn't that fascinating? So when you have somebody in your family who can't take their work away while they're eating a meal, chances are that's kind of an addictive energy that's moved into their life. Chances are most of us have found some energy in working not only for the money, but for the energy it gives us inside. For many, today's work includes 8, 10, 12 hours a day, and many are living in a work cycle that does not stop. The greatest challenge that people face today is when they're they don't know how to find meaning in life. Our microphones are taking Yeah, sure. All right. The microphones just said, "This is a good sermon." Boom. All right. So today, I just simply want us to be mindful. How much are you working? Why are you working? And who are you working for? Even in retirement, how are you spending your time? Who are you spending your time with? And who are you working and living for? Today, I cannot help but think about Mr. Whitfleet and his business. He had a family-owned business, and he took the day off, completely off on Sundays. Didn't answer that phone. And you know what's so interesting to me when I think about this amazing family? In fact, there were 4 of us kids that ended up talking this week, all week long on Messenger, is that this man didn't become obsessed about his business and whether it was going to work or not work on Sundays. He spent that time with his family, and not only with his families, he invited all of us neighborhood kids into their home to share in board games and to just share in quality time together. Even with taking that day off, Mr. W found a way to not only enjoy his family and to have holidays and fun time with his family. Do you realize that that family took all kinds of neighbor kids, myself included, to places like Disney, to Tennessee, to all of these different places? They extended their family to include all of us. In fact, we were having a conversation the other day. I would have never gone to Disney World as a child if it had not been for this family. Something tells me that Mr. Whiffley was able to figure out what the true riches in life were by taking a day off. He was able to discover what was really important in life by not working. He was able to have a successful business by not working. He found a way each and every week to take it offline. And in doing so, he not only enriched his family's life, but he enriched the entire neighborhood. You know, my life has been forever changed because one family did life the old-fashioned way. One family decided what was most important to them was being present with one another and honoring God one day a week. It's made me think about how I too handle my time and handle my life. It's made me think about how it is that I find my energy. How is God calling me to move forth into life, to live this truly good life, gaining life that is truly life? Something tells me it isn't going to be looking at my cell phone. Something tells me it isn't going to be how many likes I get on that Facebook post. Something tells me it's going to be the meaning that I take from every encounter with different human beings in life. And it's not easy. But we can do this. We can find a way, my friends, to overcome technology with love and care for one another by simply taking it offline. Now, I know this is the way of the world and it's how we work now, but think about what changes you can make in your life. What kind of energy, money, time are you getting from the work you do? How much of that is benefiting somebody else? How much of that is benefiting God? How many of you are having a hard time leaving behind the joy you're getting from other people making comments on your Facebook page or whatever it may be? Really, truly, in life, we're going to find what we need by being present with God, because God's ready to give you some massive likes. God's ready to meet you right where you are and knows you right the way you are, not just putting up the perfect side of life, but God knows the dark side of life as well. Today, I want to encourage all of us to take it offline and to shine a little light onto the experiences that we have in life that God knows about already. God wishes to be present with you on this journey. God wishes to transform your life, and the only way you can do that is finding rest in God alone. Today, we have an opportunity to really take it offline. We're going to share in Holy Communion here at the Garden. All who are here are invited to partake in the Feast of Holy Communion. You don't have to be a member of the church or any church. You need only see the power of the love of God in the presence of God in your everyday life. You need only to say, okay, God, I'm going to take this moment right now and find my rest in you. I'm going to be still. I'm going to seek to know you in a very real way. The energy you need isn't going to come from your paycheck. It isn't going to come from your investments. The energy and the spirit you need for life can be found in this meal, a gift from Jesus. And all who are here are invited to partake in this feast. You don't have to be a member here or any church. Our communion service here is by intinction. It's also truly an open communion table for all people. The wafers that we're using today are gluten-free. The wine is not wine at all. It's apple juice. It's grape juice or apple juice, whatever you choose. It is gluten-free as well. And all who are here are invited to partake in this feast. Now, we're having wafers today because we don't have bread bakers right now. So if you're adamantly opposed to wafers, then let me know after service, and we'll get some bread going again. But what we do here is we take communion by intinction. These beautiful people are up here to help us do that. We invite you to come forth from the first rows first and then work your way back. Take a wafer from the plate, dip it into the cup, partake, and then return to your seats for prayer and reflection. If you can't come forth or you don't want to come forth, that's not a big deal for us. You rest right where you are, and someone will come and serve you right where you are. All who are here are invited to partake in this feast. This is the feast where you will find rest, where you will find a new beginning and the love of God. For on the night that Jesus was betrayed, he took time to rest with his friends, to share in a meal with them, to love and to care for them. He took a loaf of bread, he lifted it to heaven, and he gave thanks to God, and then he broke it. He gave it to his disciples, his friends, and he said, "Take and eat of this, all of you. This is my body, which is given for you. As often as you eat, remember me. Find rest, and remember my love for you." Jesus also took the cup, lifted it to heaven, and gave thanks to God. Then he gave it to his disciples, his friends. He said, "Take and drink of this, all of you. This is my blood poured out for you and for many for the forgiveness of sins. As often as you drink, remember me and my love for you." For these gifts, let us pray. God, we come to this place today from different life circumstances. Some are retired. Some are desperately seeking work. Others are overworked. Others are clear. The amazing thing is no matter where we are on the journey, you meet us right where we are. So today, meet us with your life-giving spirit so that we might just not live a life connected to this world, but with your divine spirit. For those of us who work so much, it has turned to an obsession. We ask that you take that obsession away from us. For those who have become complacent in their life, we ask, God, that you energize in such a way that we can seek to make a difference in this world for the likes of others. You meet us where we are today. You renew our spirit. You renew our heart. Do so now with your grace, love, mercy, and forgiveness in the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Amen.